Tata Janavatar Chaitanya Lila Vistarakarino Ro Nityananda Parabja Karunarena Bushito Yaktachano Burachincho Vavande Vyasadupino Shri Guru Gaur Gandharva Govindascha Ganaisaha Jayanti Patakaschacha Sarvesham Karunartino. So we are here at Sridhar Govinda Seva Sanctuary in Austin, Texas. And we are with the assembled Vaishnavas, and we are continuing our hearing of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. So we're hearing how Advaita Acharya, he gave Mahaprabhu permission to withdraw from his public duty officially. And so Mahaprabhu is entering more and more into this mood of, tasting this mood of Srimati Radharani. And we've heard these beautiful verses yesterday, Mahaprabhu expressing the beauty of Krishna and the love in the hearts of Radharani and the Braja Gopis. So we'll continue from there. I'll go back a couple verses. Morse kolanidi pranaraka maho shadi saki mor teho surhitam teho jiye tahavine dike jivane vidi kodeheta vidamban. Krishna is the reservoir of art and culture, and he is the panacea that saves my life. O my dear friend, since I live without him, who is the best among my friends, I condemn the duration of my life. I think that Providence has cheated me in many ways. Je jan jite nahi chai, tare kene jihai, vidi prati hutte kroda shok, idire kore bartsan, Krishna dena ulahan, podi bhagavate kashlok. Why does Providence continue the life of one who does not wish to live? This thought aroused anger and lamentation in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because one who's living without Krishna does not wish to live, so why is Providence allowing me to continue with my life? This is his expression in divine love. Who then recited a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam that chastises Providence and makes an accusation against Krishna. And this is the verse spoken by the Braja Gopis when Krishna left Vrindavan for Mathura with Akrura and Balaram. Aho vidatas tavanakwidaya samyoja machya panayena dehina tams chakritartan vyunanskupartakam vicheshtitam te vibhaka cheshtitam yata. O Providence, you have no mercy. You bring embodied souls together through friendship and affection, but before their desires are fulfilled, you separate them. Your activities are like the foolish pranks of children. Najanis prema marma vyarta kodish parishrama tor cheshta balak saman tor jadi lag paye tobe tode shika diye emanjeno na kodis vidan. Providence, you do not know the purport of loving affairs, and therefore you baffle all our endeavors. This is very childish of you. If we could catch you, we would give you such a lesson that you would never again make such arrangements. And this reminds us of elsewhere where the Braja Gopis are cursing Lord Brahma because he created eyelids that blink, and so they cannot uninterruptedly view the beauty of Krishna. Very high divine sentiment, which we can only worship. We are struggling to be Krishna conscious, and they are struggling because they are too Krishna conscious. To the extent that it is painful and difficult at times. Ore vidi tui boruini tur anyanya dolabajan preme karaya samilan akritartan kene kodistor. O cruel providence, you are very unkind, for you bring together in love people who are rarely in touch with each other. Then after you have made them meet, but before they are fulfilled, you again spread them far apart. Hare vidya karun dekaya krishnanan netramano bailamor. Koneke kodite pan kadinilanyastan papa koili data pahar. O Providence, you are so unkind. You reveal the beautiful face of Krishna and make the mind and eyes greedy. But after they have drunk that nectar for only a moment, you whisk Krishna away to another place. This is a great sin, because you thus take away what you have given as charity. Akror kore tomar dosh, amai kene koro dosh, ihajadi ko durachar, tuya kror murti dori, Krishna nili chori kori, anya nahe aiche vyavahar. O misbehaved Providence, if you reply to us, Akrura is actually at fault. So Akrura, of course, is Krishna's uncle, the brother of Devaki, right? Who came to take Krishna back to Mathura. And so we hear sometimes how the Braja Gopis, they express anger at Akrura. And this is also, since it's come up, may as well mention it. This is also related to the reason why Srila Sridhar Maharaj said you cannot have Ratha Yatra in Vrindavan, or Navadvip, which is non-different, because Krishna, you cannot take, because the purpose of Ratha Yatra is to bring Krishna back to Vrindavan. So if you're already in Vrindavan, you cannot take Krishna out of Vrindavan. Where will you take him? And one thing Srila Sridhar Maharaj mentioned was, like, just seeing those chariots, the Braja Gopis will be very angry. They will think, oh, it is Akrura again, he's coming to take our Krishna away. They will be very disturbed by that. So Ratha Yatra can be done anywhere in the world, but not in Vrindavan, not in Navadvip. O misbehaved Providence, if you reply to us, Akrura is actually at fault. Why are you angry with me? Then I say to you, Providence, you have taken the form of Akrura and have stolen Krishna away. No one else would behave like this. Apanar karma dosh, tore kiba kori dosh, toya moi sambandha vidur. Jayamar prananat ekatra rohi jar sat, se Krishna hoila nitur. But this is the fault of my own destiny. Why should I needlessly accuse you? There is no intimate relationship between you and me. Krishna, however, is my life and soul. It is we who live together, and it is he who has become so cruel. Sabtyaji bhaji jare se apan hate mare nari vade Krishna nahi boy ta lagi ami mari hulati na chahe hari kana matre bangilo pranoy. He for whom I have left everything is personally killing me with his own hands. Krishna has no fear of killing women. Indeed, I am dying for him, but he doesn't even turn back to look at me. Within a moment, he has broken off our loving affairs. Krishna kene koridosh, apandur daiva dosh, pakilo more papa fall, je Krishna more premadin, tare koilo udasin, e more abhagya prabal. Yet why should I be angry with Krishna? It is the fault of my own misfortune. The fruit of my sinful activities has ripened, and therefore Krishna, who has always been dependent on my love, is now indifferent. This means that my misfortune is very strong. Hemata Gorai Vishade Kore Hai Hai Ha Ha Krishna Tumi Gela Koti Gopi Bhav Hridoye Tarvakya Vilapaye Govinda Damodar Madhaveti. In this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu lamented in the mood of separation. Alas, alas, O Krishna, where have you gone? Feeling in his heart the ecstatic emotions of the gopis, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu agonized in their words, saying, O Govinda, O Damodar, O Madhava. Tobe Swarup Ramarai, Kodi Nana Upai, Mahaprabhu Kode Ashvasan, Gayan Sangam Gita, Prabhur Firaila Chitta, Prabhur Kichus Dear Hoiloman. Srup Damodar and Ramananda Rai then devised various means to pacify the Lord. They sang songs of meeting that transformed his heart and made his mind peaceful. Himata Vilapite Ardarachi Gelo, Gambedata Swarup Gosai Prabhure Shojailo. As Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu lamented in this way, half the night passed. Then Srup Damodar made the Lord lie down in the room known as the Gambira. Prabhure Shoyaya Ramananda Gela Gode, Sarup Govinda Shoila Gambira Dware. After the Lord was made to lie down, Ramananda Rai returned home, and Srup Damodar and Govinda lay down at the door of the Gambira. Premaveshe Mahaprabhu Gar Gar Man Nam Sankirtan Kore Koren Jagaram. Mahaprabhu stayed awake all night chanting the holy names of the Lord, his mind overwhelmed by spiritual ecstasy. Virahe Vyakul Prabhu Udvege Utila Gambira Bichemuk Gashite Lagila. Feeling separation from Krishna, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so distraught that in great anxiety he stood up and began rubbing his face against the walls of the Gambira. Muke gande nake koto hoilo apar, pavaveshe na janim Prabhu pare raktadar. Blood oozed from the many injuries on his mouth, nose, and cheeks. But due to his ecstatic emotions, the Lord did not know it. Sarvarachi koren bhave mukha sangarshan, gon gon shabda koren sarup shonila takan. In ecstasy, Mahaprabhu rubbed his face against the walls all night long, making a peculiar sound, gon, gon, which Srup Damodar could hear through the door. Deep jwali gore gela deki Prabhur mukh, Sarup Govinda duhar hoilo boroduk. Lighting a lamp, Srup Damodar and Govinda entered the room. When they saw the Lord's face, they were filled with sorrow. Wow. Prabhure shayate ani sustir koraila, kahe koila eta tumi sarup puchila. They brought the Lord to his bed, calmed him, and then asked, "Why have you done this to yourself?" It's very heavy to hear this. We hear Srila Sridhar Maharaj told how once when he was out on collection and there was one gentleman who he met him and he asked him, we've heard these descriptions of Sri Chaitanyadev, blood oozing from his body and all of these things and it sounds like so much suffering. How can you be, celebrating this? How can you be celebrating Lord Chaitanya as the highest, our most worshipable Lord, and you're saying, Krishna prema is the highest goal, but look at these effects, and like something along these lines. How can we understand this? And Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he quoted this other line from Chaitanya Charitamrita: Bahe Visha Jwala Hoy Bitare Ananda Moy Krishna Prem Adbhut Chadi. That this is the wonderful characteristic of Krishna Prema, that externally it appears to be like intense suffering, like one who is suffering from the poison of a serpent's bite. But internally they are experiencing the greatest amrita, the greatest nectar. So this is difficult for us to understand. But there is so much sweetness internally in this condition. Prabhu kohen udvege gode na parirohite, dwar chahi buli shigra bahir hoite. Mahaprabhu replied, I was in such anxiety that I could not stay in the room. I wanted to go out, and therefore I wandered about the room looking for the door. Dwar nahi payamuk lage chari bite, koto hoy rakta pode na pai jaite. Unable to find the door, I kept hitting the four walls with my face. My face was injured and it bled, but I still could not get out. Unmad dashai prabhur stira nahe man, jai kore je bole sab unmad lakham. In this state of madness, Mahaprabhu's mind was unsteady. Whatever he said or did was all symptomatic of madness. Sarup Gosai tobe chinta paila mone, bhakta gana loya vicha koila rodine. Subdamodar was very anxious, but then he had an idea. The following day, he and the other devotees considered it together. Sab bhakta meli tobe prabhure sadilo, Shankar Pandite Prabhu Sange Shojailo. After consulting with one another, they entreated Mahaprabhu to allow Shankar Pandit to lie down in the same room with him. Prabhupada tole Shankar koden shoyan, Prabhu tar upar koden pada prasaran. Thus Shankar Pandit lay at the feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and the Lord placed his legs upon Shankar's body. Prabhu pado padan boli tar nama hoilo, porve vidore jeno shishuk vanilo. Shankar became celebrated by the name Prabhu Pado Padan, which means the pillow of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Lord's pillow. He was like Vidura, as Shukadev Goswami previously described him. Now we have quotation from Bhagavatam. Iti bhuvanam viduram vinitam sahastra shirshnash chadano padanam prahishta roma bhagavat katayam praniyamano munir abhyachashta. When submissive Vidura, the resting place of the legs of Lord Krishna, had thus spoken to Maitreya, Maitreya began speaking, his hair standing on end, due to the transcendental pleasure of discussing topics concerning Lord Krishna. Charana Upadanam, the resting pillow for the legs. Shankar koden prabhur pada samvahan, gumaya poden taiche koden shoyan. Shankar massaged the legs of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but while massaging, he would fall asleep and thus lie down. Ugadange podiya Shankar nija jai, Prabhu uti apan kanta tahare jarai. He would lie asleep without a covering on his body, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would get up and wrap him with his own quilt. Idantar gumai shankar shigra chetan vosi pada chapi kore rachi jagaran. Shankar Pandit would always fall asleep, but he would quickly awaken, sit up, and again begin massaging the legs of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In this way, he would stay awake the entire night. Tar boye naden Prabhu bahire jaite, tar boye naden bitye mukabja gashite. Out of fear of Shankar, Mahaprabhu could neither leave his room nor rub his lotus-like face against the walls. Hey Leela Mahaprabhu Raghunatha Das Gauranga Stava Kalpavike Koriyache Prakash. This pastime of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's has been described very nicely by Raghunath Das Goswami in his book known as Gauranga Stava Kalparika. And we have a quotation here. So this is from Raghunath Das Goswami. Swakiyasya pranarbuddha sajishta sajisha goshtasya virahat pralapan unmadat satatam ati gorvan vikaladi dadadbito shashvad vadana vidu garshena vudiram kshatotam gorango hridaya udayanam madayati. Because of separation from his many friends in Vrindavan, who were like his own life, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spoke like a madman. His intelligence was transformed. Day and night he rubbed his moon-like face against the walls, and blood flowed from the injuries. May that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rise in my heart and make me mad with love. Himata Mahaprabhu Rachi Divase Prema Sindhu Magnarohe Kabudu Bebase. In this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu remained immersed day and night in an ocean of ecstatic love for Krishna. Sometimes he was submerged and sometimes he floated. Ekakale Vaishaker Purnamasi Dine Rachi Kale Mahaprabhu Cholila Udyane. One full moon night in the month of Vaishak, April, May, Mahaprabhu went to a garden. Jagannath Vallabhna Mudyan Pradhane Pravesh Korila Prabhu Loya Bhaktagane. The Lord, along with his devotees, entered one of the nicest gardens called Jagannath Vallabha. Prapulita Vikavali Jena Vrindavan Shuka Shadi Pika Bringa Kore Alapan. In the garden were fully blossomed trees and creepers, exactly like those in Vrindavan. Bumblebees and birds like the shuk, shari, and pika talked with one another. Pushpaganda loya vahe malai pavan Guru hoya tarulatai shikai nachan. A mild breeze was blowing, carrying the fragrance of aromatic flowers. The breeze had become a guru and was teaching all the trees and creepers how to dance. Purnachanja chanjikai paramujval Tarulatadi Jyotsnai Kore Jalamal. Brightly illuminated by the full moon, the trees and creepers glittered in the light. Choiritu Ganjaha Vasanta Pradhan Deki Anandita Hoila Gaur Bhagavan. The 6 seasons, especially spring, seemed present there. Seeing the garden, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was very happy. Lalita Lavangalata Padagao Jaya Nitya Kori Pulem Prabhu Nija Gana Loya. In this atmosphere, the Lord had his associates sing the verse from the Gita Govinda, beginning with the words Lalita Lavangalata, as he danced and wandered about with them. Prativrika Valiaiche Brahmite Brahmite Ashoker Tole Krishna Dekenachambite. As he thus wandered around every tree and creeper, he came beneath an Ashok tree and suddenly saw Lord Krishna. Krishna deki Mahaprabhu Daya Cholila Age deki Hasi Krishna Antar Dana Hoila. When he saw Krishna, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began running very swiftly, but Krishna smiled and disappeared. Age paila Krishna tade puna haraya Bumete podila Prabhu morchita hoya. Having gotten Krishna and then lost him, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu fell to the ground unconscious. Krishna Shiyanga Gande Poriche Udyane Se Ganda Paya Prabhu Hoila Chaitane. The entire garden was filled with the scent of Lord Sri Krishna's transcendental body. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu smelled it, he fell unconscious at once. Niranta Nasai Pashe Krishna Parimal Ganda Swadite Prabhu Hoila Pagal. But the scent of Krishna's body incessantly entered his nostrils, and the Lord became mad to relish it. Krishna Ganda Lubda Radha Shakire Je Kohila Se Shlok Pari Prabhu Arta Korila. Srimati Radharani once spoke a verse to her gopi friends, describing how she hankers for the transcendental scent of Krishna's body. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recited that same verse and made its meaning clear. And this is the verse from Govinda Lilamrita. Koranga Mada Jidvapu Parimalormi Krishtangana Swakanga Nalinashtake Shashi Yutabja Ganda Prata Madendurvada Chandana Guru Sugandhi Charchita Same Madana Mohana Saki Tanoti Nasa Spriham. The sense of Krishna's transcendental body surpasses the aroma of musk and attracts the minds of all women. The 8 lotus-like parts of his body distribute the fragrance of lotuses mixed with that of camphor. His body is anointed with aromatic substances like musk, camphor, sandalwood, and aguru. O my dear friends, that personality of Godhead, also known as the enchanter of Cupid, always increases the desire of my nostrils. Kashtadika nilotpal tarje parimal tahajini krishnanga ganda Vyape jhoda bhuvane kore sarva karshane nadi ganer anki kore anda. The scent of Krishna's body surpasses the fragrances of musk and the bluish lotus flower. Spreading throughout the 14 worlds, it attracts everyone and makes the eyes of all women blind. Saki he Krishna Ganda Jagat Matai Nadir Nasate Pashe Sarvakal Taha Vaise Krishna Pasha Dori Loya Jai. My dear friends, the scent of Krishna's body enchants the entire world. It especially enters the nostrils of women and remains seated there. Thus it captures them and forcibly brings them to Krishna. Nityanabi vadan koro yuga chadan e ashta padma Krishna ange karpur lipta kamal tarjaiche parimal se ganda ashta padma sange. Krishna's eyes, navel, and face, hands and feet are like 8 lotus flowers on his body. From these 8 lotuses emanates a fragrance like a mixture of camphor and lotus. That is the scent associated with his body. Hema kilita chandan taha kori garshan tahea guru kumkum kastodi karpar sane charchange porvanger ganda sange militare jeno koilo chodi. When sandalwood pulp is mixed with the guru, kumkum, musk and camphor and spread on Krishna's body, it combines with Krishna's own original bodily perfume and seems to cover it. Hare nadir tanuman nasa kore gornan kasai nivi chutai keshabanda koriyage bodhi nachai jagat nadi henodakatiya krishnanga ganda. The scent of Krishna's transcendental body is so attractive that it enchants the bodies and minds of all women. It bewilders their nostrils, loosens their belts and hair, and makes them mad women. All the women of the world come under its influence, and therefore the scent of Krishna's body is like a plunderer. Se ganda vashanasa sadakori gander hasha kabu pai kabu nahi pai paile pia peta bode pia pia tabu kore na paile chishnai mari jai. God, these verses are like intoxicating. They're so beautiful. Falling completely under its influence, the nostrils yearn for it continuously, although sometimes they obtain it and sometimes not. When they do drink their fill, though they still want more and more, but if they don't, out of thirst, they die. When they do, when they do get that scent, they take as much as they want, even though they want more and more. But if they don't get that scent, they will die out of their desire for it. This is the symptom of real love, that if you don't attain the object of your love, you die. So that's evidence that none of us have Krishna prema, because we wouldn't be able to live without Krishna if we had it. Madan Mohanat Pasari Gander Hat Jagannadi Graha Kelo Bai Vinamulye Deya Ganda Ganda Diya Kore Anda Gojaite Patana Hi Pai. The dramatic actor Madan Mohan, in other words Krishna, has opened a shop of scents that attract the women of the world to be his customers. He delivers the scents freely, but they make the women all so blind they cannot find the path returning home. Ematta gor hadi gande koilo mana chori bringa praiti uti dai jai vikalata pashe Krishna spure se ashe Krishna na pai ganda macha pai. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his mind thus stolen by the scent of Krishna's body, ran here and there like a bumblebee. He ran to the trees and plants, hoping that Lord Krishna would appear, but instead he found only that scent. Sadhu Brahmananda Gai Prabhu Nache Sukha Pai E Mate Pratakala Hoilo Sadhu Brahmananda Rai Korinana Upai Mahaprabhur Bhayaspurti Koilo. Both Srup Damodar and Ramananda Rai sang to the Lord, who danced and enjoyed happiness until the morning arrived. Then the Lord's 2 associates devised a plan to bring him to external consciousness. Machya Bhakti Pralapan Vitya Mukha Garshan Krishna Gandas Porte Divya Nritya E Chari Lila Bede Gailo E Parichede Krishnadasa Rupa Gosai Britya. Thus I, Krishnadas, the servant of Sri Rupa Goswami, have sung of 4 divisions of the Lord's pastimes in this chapter. The Lord's devotion to his mother, his words of madness, his rubbing his face against the walls at night, and his dancing at the appearance of Lord Krishna's fragrance. E Mata Mahaprabhu Bhaya Chetan Snan Kori Koilo Jagannath Darshan. Mahaprabhu thus returned to external consciousness. He then bathed and went to see Lord Jagannath. Aloki Krishna Lila Divya Shakti Tar Tarke Gochar Nahe Charitra Jahar. The pastimes of Lord Krishna are uncommonly full of transcendental potency. It is a characteristic of such pastimes that they do not fall within the jurisdiction of experimental logic and arguments. So don't try to understand such things with our brains or experience or any logic of this world. E prem sada jage jaha antare pandite hatar cheshta bujite napade. When transcendental love of Krishna awakens in someone's heart, even a learned scholar cannot comprehend his activities. And now we have quotation from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Danyasyayam nava prema yasyon milati chetasi antar vanibir apyasya mudra sushtu sudorgama. The activities and symptoms of that exalted personality in whose heart love of Godhead has awakened cannot be understood by even the most learned scholar. Alokik prabhur cheshta pralap shuniya tarkana kori hoshuno vishwash koriya. The activities of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are undoubtedly uncommon, especially his talking like a madman. Therefore, one who hears of these pastimes should not put forward mundane arguments. He should simply hear the pastimes with full faith. Ihar satyatve praman Shri Bhagavate Shri Radha Prempala Brahmar Gitate. The evidence of the truth of these talks is found in Srimad Bhagavatam. There, in the section of the 10th canto known as the Brahmar Gita, the song to the bumblebee, Srimati Radharani speaks insanely in ecstatic love for Krishna. Okay, I'm going to stop there for today. I would like to read this purport tomorrow. Has a few excerpts from that chapter. Very, very beautiful. I haven't been through Bhagavatam, but through Chaitanya Charitamrita we get some, we get the essence of what's there, and it's a famous chapter when Krishna sends Uddhava, right, to give some comfort to the residents of Vrindavan. And then there's this one occasion when Radharani sees a bumblebee and she's taking it as a messenger of Krishna. Very high, very beautiful expressions. Jai Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki Jai, Shri Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami ki Jai. Ash, you want to sing Hari Haraya Nama Krishna? You sang so nicely yesterday. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jadavaya Namaha Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha Jadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha Jai Saprashat Shima Mahaprabhu ki Jai, Shri Navadip Dhan ki Jai, Shri Ganga Jamuna ki Jai, Shri Bhakti Devi Vrinda Devi Tulasi Devi ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopi Shama Radha Giri Govardhan ki Jai, Shri Chaitanya Saraswaman ki Jai, Austin Sangha ki Jai, Bhagavad Sangha Devotees ki Jai, World Devotees ki Jai, Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki Jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai, Jai Gaur